Well, the race is on to deal with Gauteng's driver licence renewal backlog. The Transport Department says it will not accept any excuses from drivers who fail to renew their licences on time. The deadline, of course, has recently been extended till the end of March next year, so there is still time. The department has recently introduced new measures to deal with the backlog. But are they working? Our reporter Lindokuhle Xulu joins me now. So, Linda, we know that this is a countrywide problem, but in Gauteng, where you can only book online, they've introduced something to make things a lot easier, and that was request a slot, which we heard about a few weeks ago. So, how exactly does request a slot work?
Well, Sally, I can tell you that the Request a Slot campaign was started to actually deal with the issues of people not finding slots online. We do understand that there was a system of basically going online, trying to find a slot and book a slot for yourself. But people have been complaining, that there isn't slots that they can find themselves. And that is why they introduced a Request a Slot, meaning that now you are essentially sending a message to some of the workers from the Department of Transport, and then they would then allocate you a slot. And what we understand had happened since this campaign has started, over 9,400 people have registered for this particular Request a Slot, through a Request a Slot, to say that they want a slot and they cannot find it online. And what we understand from the Gauteng's Transport MEC, Jacob Mamabulo, today is that there are about 7,000 slots that are already allocated for this week alone, saying that 2,000 that's outstanding will then be allocated a slot next week. But this is an effort to try and deal with that backlog. We do understand that countrywide it's close to 1 million, but Gauteng alone, which is the leader in terms of this backlog, is around 400,000. So they are introducing this particular effort to say that they want to deal with the issue of slots. They want to ensure that even those people who say that they cannot get a slot through online means, then they'll be able to assist them. And we understand that close to 10,000 have already used this particular means of trying to find a slot online. And we understand that at the end of the day, 7,000 have already been allocated, which is something that the MEC of Transport, Jacob Mambula, again said is a cause for celebration in terms of the response of people trying to renew their licenses. But let's take a listen to what he had to say around some of the responses that he got.
Department, since we got this number 9,600, we had said we will issue them slots within 30 days. And I must say, just within a week, about 7,400 people received their slots. In a week, instead of 30 days, we have managed to issue 7,400 with slots. The remaining 2,200 will get their slots this week, because every week we issue slots. So that tells you that way before 30 days, we are already giving people slots, and this is a very exciting moment for us.
All right, so requesting a slot is actually sending what? Is it an SMS or an email?
It's an SMS, it's an email, so there are those helplines that are available for people to actually request slots online, so that, that are failing to find slots online, to actually be helped directly by some of the workers in the department.
All right, so talk to me about some of the challenges, because you've been looking into the system to see how it's working. What are some of the challenges you've picked up with this, with this new system?
Well, rightfully, we have been looking into the system, and one of the things we did was to try and see exactly how this is translating in terms of the numbers on the ground. And I can tell you, we went to Pimville in Maponya Mall, where there is a Department of Transport there, DLTC, dealing with the renewal of licenses. But what we found there was something that the MEC also did not expect when we called him later on. What he said was that, rather what we found there was that there was no one at this station who had been booked that showed up. In fact, there is absolutely no one who showed for the renewal of licenses today, despite having hundreds of people booked. But the MEC cited to us that there is an issue of people actually booking for slots, but at the end of the day, when they're allocated to them, they do not show up for those slots. So he says that there will be repercussions for those who do not show up for these slots. He says that after the grace period expires, then they will furnish the law enforcement agencies that are relevant in terms of enforcing the law, to say that certain people who did not show up for their slots will then be put on a list, a red list, that will be given to law enforcement, so that they show that they have been given an opportunity to register, to actually renew their licenses, but did not take it up. So that is something that the MEC says they're working on in terms of creating a database. But let's take a listen again to what the MEC had to say further in terms of those that will not show up for the renewal of their licenses when given a slot.
Whilst we are excited by what we are seeing, but at the same time, we still have a long way to go, because we need to monitor the people that are given slots, whether they are taking them up. Having said that, we must also say to the people, those who do not take up their slots when we have given them, they will have no place to hide when, at the expiry period, law enforcement attend to them. Because from our side, we would have demonstrated that we have given them a slot, and we keep a record of that. So the people who might think that, there's still a chance, there's still another opportunity, we would like to appeal to them. When you confirm your booking and say you will take it up on the day that we have allocated to you, and you don't take it up, that is going to be a problem.
Linda, the cynic in me has to ask, how are they blaming the people who apparently didn't pitch up when it was an entire block of people who didn't pitch up? How are they sure that it's not another computer glitch on their side?
We followed up with the MEC of Transport. He's given us screenshots of people actually speaking to those that are working in the department. What he says is that also this is a two-way system, where if it's a message, you are able to respond and they respond back to you, or if it's an email, you are able to respond to the message to say perhaps you've missed this, or perhaps you are not clear in terms of when you should be going to your allocated slots. So the MEC says it's a two-way communication, but at the end of the day, he did say they'll be given another chance. Those that have not pitched, particularly in Maponya Mall, will then be reviewed in terms of the information of why they did not pitch up, and then they'll be given another chance. He says that those that will be in a red zone will only be those that missed their deadline, their slot twice.
Well, Lindokuhle, I do hope that you track down all those people who didn't make that slot, at least a couple of them, to ask them why on earth they didn't arrive, and to get to the bottom of it. Sounds like a fascinating story. Thank you very much for that update, Lindokuhle Xulu.